Hey, my name is Trevor Smith. Welcome to Full Burn, where we kick some tires, light some fires, and interview awesome space and aerospace defense founders. Today, I'm with Karan at K2 Space, and we are, where are we?
We're out in Torrance, California.
And it is sunny today. We've been recording, it's been raining, but
finally got the SoCal sun.
Finally got the SoCal sun.
All right.
But for video, we leave our sunglasses off so we get the engagement. We're going to drive around a little bit, and then you're going to jump in the driver's seat. And this is you said the nicest car you've ever been in?
This is the nicest car I've ever been in.
All right.
Yeah.
So, who is Karan?
So, I am the son of two immigrants from India. I've got a brother, Neil, who I've spent a lot of my life with, from the Midwest originally. Realized that I could come out to California in 2018 and not have to deal with winter, and there was no going back. I've been building companies for the last 7 years, and I'm now in the process of building probably the coolest company I will ever build in my life, K2.
So how did you didn't come out of college starting K2? Can you talk a little bit about that? Hey, college, transition to K2, and what happened in between?
Yeah, when I was in college, the place that you went to go solve some really hard problems and make a lot of money, which was kind of what I wanted to do, was either banking or consulting.
Okay, riveting stuff.
I graduated 2009. I was going to go, actually 2008, go join Lehman Brothers investment banking, doing tech banking. Almost accepted an offer to go intern there, and over the summer, Lehman went under. Dodged a bullet. Joined BCG and had a blast. Spent a few years out of Chicago, moved out to Brazil, lived in Brazil for a few years doing the consulting thing in Portuguese, which was very different.
Yeah.
Incredibly entertaining. Came back and spent a few years, traveled a bit, and then around 2018 realized the fun challenge day to day was interesting, but at some point wasn't kind of long-term fulfilling.
So that was like a 9 year...
9 years with business school in the middle of it. Okay. So I took a year off to go do this business school called INSEAD. It's based in France. You go live in Singapore and France for a bit. Traveled to 20
There were worse
countries.
places.
It was great. Yeah, it was awesome.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, so spent a large part of my early career there solving hard problems in different parts of the world. Had a lot of fun, got to see the world, got to meet some really cool people. But eventually was I want to go build. It's fun to do this 3 to 6 month thing where you work really hard and try to solve some problem, but for long-term fulfillment, you kind of want to own something and see it through from end to end. I wasn't ever getting that. So left in 2018.
So what was hey, space is where I want to go build. What happened there?
The funny thing is,
you're in banking, and it's I want to build, but what pointed you the trajectory towards space?
So I'm a bit of a realist, right? I actually always was interested in space. I grew up in a house where every morning I looked up and woke up, and one whole wall of my house was the Earthrise, the Earth rising over the moon.
Oh, cool.
And I've talked about this in other podcasts before, but that's what I woke up to from the age of basically 10 till I left for college at 17.
Oh, so this was ingrained.
And so this was always a thing, but as I said, I'm a realist, and I was to go do space in 2005, 2006, the only people that are doing stuff in space were the ones that had made a lot of money and were burning that pile of money.
The billionaires trying to become millionaires.
Exactly. So I was I want to go be a billionaire, try to become a millionaire, right? So that was kind of the plan. It was go make a lot of money and then figure out how to do something in space. And then it was only 2016, 2017 that, SpaceX was showing that it's possible to deliver outsized returns to investors who invest in space.
Yeah.
And you could actually go start building a space company without, having $1 billion yourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So that kind of changed. I was wow, this is the path I want to go down. And for me, it was very much okay, well, let's just go, life is long. I don't need to start there. I can make my way there and go figure out how to build a business first. It was also helped that my brother joined SpaceX, in 2014.
Neil, I just met him.
Yeah. I call him the version 2.0.
Of you?
Of me. Yeah.
Who's the more handsome brother?
Smarter, more handsome.
Oh, okay. All right, hear that, Neil? It's on camera.
He's got all the points. So, he joined SpaceX, and when he did, we were okay, this could be something in the future, right?
Yeah.
We could go build a space company together.
So you went to SpaceX with him?
No.
Oh,
So
okay.
I left BCG in 2018 to to go help build an artificial intelligence company. It was a company called TextIQ. They had developed like a really cool technology to identify sensitive information in large data sets. So basically like what a human does when they read a document, they're like, this is confidential information.
Yeah.
This is legally sensitive information. They had built machine learning models that could basically do that, right? Like replicate what a human does. Super cool technology. It was pre like OpenAI boom.
Yeah, I'd say if you started that company 2 years ago, you may be doing something totally different.
Totally. I mean, I go back and forth. I'm like, we sold the company. So we sold the company, and I was like, in 2021, and I was like, I can't tell if we were lucky or unlucky that we sold it in 2021.
I mean, an exit in 21, I have to imagine was a good year to exit.
It was a good year. We got lucky on timing. But yeah, it was pre kind of AI boom, doing something differentiated. The founder was Apoorv, who was just this awesome guy who was a PhD in AI from Columbia, and then his co-founder Omar was another like just great person, and I learned a lot from them. Like I learned how to go build a business. I learned how to, I was in every board meeting. I kind of just absorbed everything, made mistakes with them, learned from those mistakes with them, and they were great to me. They took good care of me and like showed me that I could build a company myself.
Wow!
So I really appreciate it. And thanks.
So leading into that, good segue to my next question. Neil's over at SpaceX. You're like, my brother's doing something super cool. I'm kind of jealous, I'm guessing, right? He's getting to work over SpaceX, maybe. We'll see. What was like, hey, on what day did you guys decide K2 is going to be a thing? And like, what went through your brain? Like, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Like, walk me through that.
So we sold the AI company in May of 2021. From May of 21, and I left a few months after the transition. I spent 6 months living the retired life. I had golf clubs in my car, was hitting up Monday morning, Wednesday morning, Friday morning golf with a bunch of people that were like 30 to 40 years older than me. I got worse at golf.
Oh,
I got worse.
How does that?
I watched a lot of YouTube clips, and I got worse the more I played. And at the end of that 6 month period, I was like, I'm getting stir crazy. I'm getting worse at golf. I should probably get a job.
So you lasted 6 months.
Lasted 6 months. It was awesome. Like I was, I bought a Porsche Macan GTS. It was the first car I've ever bought in my life, and I threw my golf clubs in there. And people told me the only thing I needed to kind of fully fit the image was just the Porsche cap, and then I would have been like an old retired.
Like Joey from Friends.
Exactly.
Like label all Porsche.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
that's funny.
Neil and I were spending time like just throwing around a few ideas together and starting to think about like, is the time right?
Yeah.
Like, we'd always talked about working together, and we're like, okay, like should we do something? And actually
and this was
like late 2021. We started talking about it, early 2022. And the thing is, like, the funny part is like what actually was the catalyst for us starting this company was us being out in Brazil for New Year's between 2021 and 2022.
Okay.
We were up there with a bunch of my friends from the northeast of Brazil, and everybody got COVID. Everybody.
Yeah.
And so Neil and I had to quarantine because the Brazilian rules at the time were about 10 days.
Did you get stuck in the country?
We got stuck in the country.
Yeah.
We got an Airbnb in Sao Paulo, and it was just Neil and I posted up there, and we were just bored out of our minds and just started playing around with ideas.
Oh my God.
And at the end of that, COVID quarantine, we decided to go start.
We got the thing. So COVID was the trigger.
It was COVID, man. Yeah, it's crazy, like how like life is like that, where there's these things that have a massive impact that you never realized.
I have a thing I try and live by, which is shake the snow globe every day.
Yeah,
which means expose yourself to new ideas. Like think about things. Like read something new that may not even have anything to do with space.
Yes.
So you guys were stuck in a condo for 10 days.
Yes.
You had to shake the snow globe. There was nothing else to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
So that's how you started the company.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so basically that was the start of it. And then we started playing around with ideas in Feb and March. And then we're actually coming up on Space Symposium relatively soon.
Yeah.
That Space Symposium in 2022.
Your first Space Symposium?
It's my first Space Symposium, where we hadn't even come up with the full idea, but we just had this concept of like, everyone's gone smaller with satellites. Like, what if we went bigger?
Go big.
Right? And
Go big.
Yeah.
I remember, I think 22 was my first symposium, and I remember seeing a headline about you guys, and it was like, I can just imagine your pitch deck. The cover is, when Starship's a thing, then we can go build a company, right?
Exactly.
It's like, we're betting on another bet and then you have to bet on our bet that's betting on another bet, and the bet's working, man. We just left. Beautiful freaking facility.
Thank you.
Used to be a go-kart track.
Yes.
Which is super cool.
Yes.
So for those that don't know about K2 Space, they're clearly not paying attention, but maybe a couple of minutes tell them about K2 and the freaking massive things that you guys are doing there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So every application space ties back to power, mass, and aperture. And power really drives everything. Like if you think about like a communications satellite, right? More power equals more throughput.
Yeah.
So in the old days, when you did satellites, you did a single, large, exquisite, highly capable satellite. It was $1 billion. It had, 20 kilowatts of power. It had all the capability that you needed.
Big juicy target.
Big juicy target.
As the DoD folks like to say.
Exactly. And in the last 10 years, there were some amazing companies like Planet that like led the charge of figuring out how to do things cheaper and faster.
But they were the opposite of big juicy target.
And they went the opposite direction.
They went a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's this thing like the small sat revolution, right? Which basically defined how we operated space over the last 10 years, which was incredible. Like it allowed us to do all these things that we hadn't done before. It allowed us to operate cheaper and faster, right? And make space more accessible for so many people.
I didn't know that. Like coming in, I didn't know a lot about sats. I'm like, oh, it's a CubeSat. I was like, okay, how big is it? They're like, that's like a coffee maker. I'm like, that's a satellite? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes.
And then you guys went the other direction.
Exactly.
Could you give a metaphor for how big your bus, your chassis, the structure of the thing is?
Yeah, I mean, the mega class satellite is about the length of, a little under half a football field. And the Giga
with the arrays
deployed, the Giga is longer. Right?
I walked, so for those of you, I walked the Giga, they've mapped it out on the floor. I'm like, wait, holy cow, it is huge. Like I saw a Mega and I'm like, this is pretty big.
Yes.
And then seeing Giga, you're like,
well, this is the
how
thing.
Is this even going to fly? It's so huge.
This is the thing. People were like, when we were first starting a space company, they were like, wait, how is this different than every other new space satellite company that's out there? I'm like, the average new space satellite company is building a 1 or 2 kilowatt bus. It fits into like the equivalent of what we had taped down as one solar panel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, one section of your solar panel is bigger than this car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
that's the scale that we're going to. And if you think about it, like if you go back to the fundamental concept, every application ties back to power, mass, and aperture.
Yeah.
What we wanted to do was max out the power, right? Yeah. Max out the payload mass, max out the aperture, because we see that being the future as we actually go explore and develop the solar system. Right? Like that's what it's going to take. It's going to take being able to deploy capabilities without making them giant science projects that cost $1 billion, but also not sacrificing all that capability to be able to move fast. It's like proper industrialization, right? Mass production.
Yeah. So you just raised a round. Congrats.
Thank you.
A nice one.
Yeah.
Was it your A or B?
It was our B. Yeah. So so about 24 months ago, we raised a Series A. It was a $50 million Series A that was led by Altimeter Capital. Maybe it was like 15 months ago. My time is a little off. But 15 months ago, we raised a Series A led by Altimeter. And then 5 months ago, we raised a Series B that was led by Lightspeed and Altimeter. It was a $110 million Series B. We were pretty excited about it. It was great in that I didn't have to go build a pitch deck. We got preempted on the B in the same way we got preempted on the A.
That's great.
Which is fantastic. We could just focus on operating and executing.
Yeah. So I like asking this question.
Yeah.
You can answer it 2 different ways or however, but what is one of the more crazy things you had to do to either save a program or like close a deal? And you closed a big deal recently, so and you can answer both if you want. Like something blew up and like we had to scramble 36 hours in the warehouse and we slept on cots, whatever. But like, do you have any sort of crazy stories like that?
There's crazy stories that I'll be able to talk about in 5 years, hopefully when like NDAs don't hold me from it. But in terms of crazy stories I could share today, to get our StratFi over the finish line, which we announced back in December, like I had to bother and text like PEOs, colonels, lieutenant colonels. Like I think I never expected that I was going to be the kind of person that would just like have to get after it and text and call and do whatever it takes. But yeah, getting that StratFi over the finish line, a lot of the work went into it was about a year ago at this point, and I think time heals all pain, right?
Yeah.
But there was a lot of pain that went into getting that over the finish line.
You're gonna need to go back to the beach.
Yes, very much so. I'm glad we're close to it.
What was did you max out the StratFi?
We maxed it out.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. Had a bunch of different stakeholders that were pretty excited by either the power of the bus, the ability to operate constellations in MEO, which is much harder to proliferate region, but it's going to continue to have more and more strategic importance from a national security perspective. But yeah, we had a bunch of people excited about it and wanted to go participate in this first mission.
That's StratFi from a SIBR program, short of a phase 3 contract.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the
very
big
much
one.
So.
That's the big one.
It is the big one, which is crazy. We kind of like speed ran that, right? We got the StratFi as a little under 2.5-year-old company, considering we incorporated back in June of 2022.
So you're making big things.
Yeah.
What drives you? Like, what keeps you motivated when you wake up in the morning to like, hey, I'm coming into work, fired up, let's go. Like, what is it that is it the poster in your bedroom from a 10-year-old or like what drives you?
It actually is that poster, right? So like one of the things that we first looked at, it was like a great source of information about spacecraft, was the NASA decadal study. Do you know what that is? So it's basically the summation of the scientific community for all of the missions they want to go do over the next 10 years. That's why it's called the decadal. And you got these amazing missions like, orbiters to the moons of Jupiter and, landers on Mars. And they basically said they were like, at the end of this report, there were 50 that they had prioritized. So 50 missions they want to have happen over the next 10 years. There were 5 that they were like, these must happen. And at the end of the report, they go, if NASA funding is maintained at level, we'll do 1, maybe 2 of these missions over the next 10 years.
Wow.
And Neil and I were like, what the heck? Like, why are we...
There's 50 that they want to do.
Why are we reducing the rate of scientific missions? And so that's kind of why we started K2. It was like, let's go figure out how to build a platform that can be used to explore and develop the solar system. And so when I think about like our line, right, and like what drives me, like we're building a factory where right now it's a 180,000 square foot factory. We can produce 100 satellites per year. I envision a future where 40 of those satellites per year are national security. 40 of those satellites are commercial, and 20 are used to go explore and develop every moon and planet in the solar system. Wow. Like that's the mission.
Dude, that's so fun. I'm excited for you guys. I've been excited, like getting to see it in person today. Thank you for taking me on the tour.
Of course.
You just built a giant piece of metal.
We did.
Talk about that?
Yeah. So we've shared a few pictures. I think we'll continue to share more, but we're developing in-house the highest power electric propulsion system ever flown. It's a 20 kilowatt system. To date, the highest power that's flown is 5 kilowatts.
So 4x.
So 4x more powerful.
So sidebar, my chief operating officer is Christian Carpenter. He built the propulsion for Starlink, right? He goes, Trevor, I just heard from K2, they got something really cool. He's like a kid on Christmas morning. He saw this thing and you guys said can you share how heavy it was?
It is 50 tons.
50 tons.
Yep.
It's this giant metal thing. And Christian is like so freaking happy. He's like giddy and looking at everything. It was hilarious. But,
it's funny. Him and Raphael used to work together on Starlink doing the thrusters. And so they were just nerding out at the factory.
Nerding out is an understatement.
Yeah, they were having fun. But yeah, we built this because we saw an opportunity to kind of change how we deploy constellations and also change how we start to kind of explore and develop the solar system, right? High power electric propulsion system allows us to do really interesting things like max out the performance of the launch vehicle to get as much mass as possible to LEO, and then we can take ourselves from there, right? And so we built this high power system. To test the high power system, we had to build one of the largest chambers out there. It's a vacuum chamber.
So big.
You look at it, it's a massive 50-ton thing.
You told me when it turns on, it's the equivalent of like one city block worth of energy.
Exactly. I think we bought like a large supply of the pumps, these cryo pumps, and when they're all on, it is as much power as one city block.
That's nuts.
So it's a pretty crazy thing, and we just started commissioning it at the beginning of this year. Just started hot firing there 2 weeks ago, and so you're going to be seeing a lot of fun pictures of thrusters firing in massive.
Well, I'm hoping they've got it running when we get back.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see it. Yeah.
So, any advice, or what advice would you give to year zero founders or someone looking to start their own company? Maybe keep it to space.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big. I think it's easy to raise pre-seeds out there today, right? It's really easy to raise pre-seeds. If you have a really cool concept, like you'll get somebody that'll give you money to go start your development. And at
that level, you'd say it's probably they're betting on the founding team.
Exactly.
There's no MVP. There's no like...
Exactly. Yeah. A cool idea. But I think what people need to think about is like, one of the things we say with K2 is like, we have this like massive vision for a sci-fi future, but we have like practical steps to get to that sci-fi future, right? And one of the things I'd like to see more of is, and I help when I'm helping out founders in their early stage is like, what are the practical steps that get you to that sci-fi future? Who's the customer that's going to buy your stuff 2 years from now? Like, it's great to have this long-term vision, but what you need to be building is a real business that not only the early stage investors can underwrite, but the later stage investors can underwrite, right? Because space is expensive, right? Your pre-seed is going to get you 12 to 24 months of design work, but if you want to actually go build, you're going to have to raise a seed, a Series A, a Series B, and those investors are going to want to understand what is the real business here, and when can they start actually pointing to a profitable entity that they are underwriting, right? So I'd say like the big thing for me is, what I tell people is like, think about the practical steps to that sci-fi future, right? Because that's what it's going to take to actually build a real business that's doing something cool in space.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we're going to find a spot to pull over because you filled out the insurance.
I did.
And I think you want to drive.
I really want to drive. I really want to drive this. So I'm excited.
We'll find a spot to pull off and get you in this lovely car. It's we're in a McLaren GT, rear-wheel drive, V8 twin turbo. I didn't look up stat, but it's over 600 horsepower. We will keep traction control on.
That's probably good.
And we'll show you all the buttons, and it'll be fun. And then so while you're in the driver's seat, I will do some hot takes. Tinfoil hat corner is coming up.
Okay.
So be thinking.
All right. Yeah.
You're sitting in a McLaren.
This is awesome.
We're back.
This is awesome.
And what do you think?
Love it.
Yeah. Compared to the Porsche.
The Porsche is great. I mean, it's a GTS, which is great. It was funny. I bought it because I was in San Francisco at the time, and I was like, I want a car that's like fun to drive, but I can also take to Tahoe. Yeah. I think I took it to Tahoe like once, right? It's like, that's one of those things where you only do it one time. But this is slightly different. It's nice.
All right. We enter the tinfoil hat arena.
All right. Tinfoil away.
Let me pull these up here. So this is a tinfoil question, but you seem very family oriented. Yeah. You grew up. What space technology, what's going to make your parents' life better from a space perspective?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think I'm pretty excited for the ability to have like massive amounts of compute and space-based power on orbit, right? Like I think like what happens on Earth when energy is just like not just abundant, but just like you don't even think about it, right? Like it's just like guaranteed abundant energy everywhere for any application. So when you're making trade-offs, you're not making trade-offs based on energy. And I think the exact same thing in a world where I'm not making trade-offs based on compute is going to be pretty exciting, right? So the cool thing about space is it's kind of the sky's the limit in terms of both power and compute with what you can do. When you're in space, you have effectively, if you can scale it, unlimited access to solar power. There's a reason why like K2, like our logo is a Dyson sphere, right?
Language.
And then you have like the ability to dissipate massive amounts of heat, right? So you can actually scale up compute to such a scale that I think we're going to have to do as we want to like continue to improve as a society.
So you think data centers in space?
I think data centers in space is cool. There's a bunch of people going after that. I think space-based solar power is also cool. There's a bunch of people going after that. I think there's a lot of challenges with both that we're going to have to go figure out.
Are we going to fry any birds? Space-based solar power coming back to Earth. Are we going to?
I mean,
fry any birds?
I think that is definitely a risk. I'm sure we'll figure out ways to manage it though.
Wouldn't be the first animal harm during rocket testing.
Correct.
Yeah. So if space is successful, does anything scare you about that?
I mean, we are about to have expansion of civilization, right? It's the next frontier, right? And so, like, I talk a lot about the science aspect of why we do what we do at K2, but part of it is also like, there's like the type of civilization that I'd like to see expand across the solar system is one that has like liberal democratic values, right? And has the values that like are the reason why my parents immigrated here to this country. It's the reason why I love this country. And so to me, it's opportunity, but it's also like we need to make sure that we have and continue to be on the cutting edge, right? To ensure that our like liberal democratic values are continued to kind of be, the leading edge as we go expand across the solar system. So that's like another thing that kind of drives me, and as I think about like what we do in space and how we go expand, like this truly is the next wave of civilization's expansion. And so I'd like it to be in the right way, right?
So do you have any tinfoil hat theories for space?
Oh man. I think we are not too far away from like a space race that is not country versus country, but but like company versus company land grab, I don't think like our regulatory environment, our legal environment.
We said this earlier. It's the Wild West.
It's the Wild West.
It's
right?
the wild,
like,
land grab.
I don't think, you know, and you've got some like some incredible founders like Matt over at Astroforge that are like thinking about how to go like reach asteroids. Like I think we're gonna like see over the next decade really cool businesses get built that are pushing the bounds of what's possible. And I think our regulatory framework is going to like struggle to keep up, right?
Well, and I think, you know, on the government side, they're gonna be outpaced by commercial.
Yes,
it's the company that's in For All Mankind.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Right? Like you've got a couple of countries and then this one commercial company, and like they kick everybody.
Do you want to know something weird about For All Mankind?
What?
So that founder, right? The guy that's running that company. Yeah, his name is Dev, right?
Uh huh.
Do you know the middle name that passes down my entire family? My dad's middle name, Dev.
Dev.
My Neil's middle name, Dev. My middle name, Dev.
Destined.
It is wild. It is one of the wildest coincidences. Like I was shocked when I saw it.
Okay, gonna get a little crazier.
All right.
Have you or anyone you know had any interactions with aliens? Or have you seen something in the sky that looked a little weird, gave you the heebie-jeebies? Or heard a story that was like, oh, that's pretty spooky.
So I definitely believe in aliens. I definitely also believe in the dark forest theory, right? Which
what
is
basically the dark forest theory?
Have you heard of this?
No.
Dark forest. So
not Darth Vader.
No, dark forest, like DARK. So dark forest theory. One of the popular books that talks about is Three Body Problem. But basically,
love that movie.
Basically, like every civilization is incented to be quiet, and the fear is basically like if you have other civilizations understand that you exist. From a game theory perspective, what becomes optimal is to take out that other civilization. Because either they're going to take you out now, or even if they're far behind you over the timeline of solar systems and galaxies, they will surpass you and come take you out themselves. So I think there are potentially, you know, other things out there that we don't even know how to define them.
The sheer
I think they're all staying quiet.
Has to be
right.
There.
I think they're all staying quiet for good reason.
Well, it's like you're on the paintball field.
Exactly.
You don't jump up and say, "Hey, I'm right here.
Exactly.
Shoot me."
Exactly.
So maybe we're going about this whole space thing wrong. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have sent out that golden record. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're both in the startup world. Is there any, without naming a company, is there any sort of technology that's being pitched to investors or the DoD it's just snake oil? Like, come on. Like, don't put money in that thing. Like, just don't do it. Is there anything come to mind?
Oh man, that's such a like hard question because like I think there are many businesses out there that have a massive amount of technical risk that maybe gets underpriced. But at the same time, like we're all in this together, right? Like I can't fault someone for being too big with their dreams, right? What I will say is like, you know, understand the technical risks as an investor, right? What I don't want to see is like some investors get burned because they didn't appreciate the technical risk and then write off the entire category of space. But yeah, I mean,
one bad apple.
Exactly. But people are doing crazy things, and you know, some of them are going to turn out to be total flops, and then some of them are going to turn out to be big wins, right? And that's kind of what's fun about this.
There's no technology you want to throw on?
I'm not going to throw any technology
like
under the bus.
Propulsion without fuel, maybe? I don't know.
I do think like
Jeff Thornburg threw that one under the bus.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's like, you have to have, you can't run propulsion off of nothing.
Well, when it comes to propulsion, there are not that many people that are smarter than Jeff. So
shout out to Jeff.
He says something doesn't make sense, I would take his word for it.
What technology from science fiction would you love to see come to fruition?
Oh man, I want teleportation.
Beam me up, Scotty.
I want teleportation. I want it tomorrow. And I think there's some cool companies like obviously Boom trying to make the time it takes to travel shorter, but I travel so much and I'd like to see like family and friends so much more. And it would be awesome to just be like, yo, you want to meet up for dinner? Anywhere in the world? Like let's go. Let's go. Like that's the dream, man.
Do you know what Jeff's answer was to that question? Warp drive.
That is
obviously.
Come on.
He wants to see warp drive.
He's going to go build that someday.
I know. He was like, it'll be Generation 10. Oh my gosh. So for long space flights, what facet of human psychology would you remove from human space travel?
what facet of human psychology?
Like-
Okay, so this is interesting.
Yeah.
Have you read Project Hail Mary?
No, but I keep hearing about it.
Another great book. And that's one of the things they grapple with, which is like, okay, if we're sending humanity on this like massive journey across the galaxy, like how do we deal with humans, like psychological problems from sitting in this small little room with the same two people over an extended period of time? How do they deal with things like hibernation? And that was actually their solution, was like, we're actually not even like, the psychology part is harder.
It's too hard.
We're just going to hibernate the people so their brain doesn't work and they're not able to be a problem, and they'll wake up, right?
Yeah.
So I think, I think the things we'll have to think about are like, how do our brains are wired to be in a community. They're probably wired in ways we don't even know, to be on Earth, to follow the solar cycle, to, deal with people on a regular basis. Like, what happens when that's not the case?
3 years into a deep space mission,
exactly.
What are you going to do?
What kind of new stir crazy is actually going to come out, right? Yeah. Why I find like all the tests that people do, like there's that one test that was testing like the Martian, colonization, go out in the middle of nowhere in the desert.
They were like there for a year.
That stuff is like so entertaining to me. Like, it's just like so fascinating.
All right, so you seem like a car guy. What's the fastest you've been?
I don't think I've been that fast. I think I've done like 130 in my Porsche, maybe 135.
Okay.
Out in the desert. That's about it.
Okay.
Not crazy. How about you?
I've hit 200.
Not bad.
In a 45.
Not in a 45?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just once. I just wanted to be able to say that I hit 200.
See, Neil, I'm not that crazy of a driver.
I grew up racing dirt bikes, so I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. Oh my gosh. So, blank check. Yeah. What vehicle would you go get besides building your Giga satellite?
I think
fun vehicle.
I think the fun vehicle I would get is it's a vehicle that like I looked up to as a kid, was the Aston Martin DB9.
Yeah.
That's just like, action. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I would also get a GT3 RS at some point, but for the kid in me, like the DB9 was always something that was special.
Yeah. But what's your favorite part about Space Symposium?
Well, it'll always have a warm place, a special place in my heart, right? Like it's where we first started testing the idea. Like I was literally just walking around Symposium 3 years ago being like, hey, let me tell you about this big satellite idea.
Yeah.
Like, would you be interested if I could max that power?
As all amazing founders do. It's me, my notebook, and I have this huge dream, and I'm going to tell everybody about it.
I knew no one, right? Like I literally just like walked up there. There was a guy from Lockheed who actually was the one who told me to go there. And so Symposium, what's great about it is it's a great way to get to meet the customer face to face. In a world where we do a lot of stuff on Teams, like it's just, there's nothing that replaces in person. To build relationships. Like, so much of what we're doing is new, and so much of what we're doing like requires building trust, right? And I think the only way you can truly build trust in others is in person, FaceTime.
I go to a lot of bases for that reason. Like you go see your TPOC, you go see your end user, your customer. You got to build that rapport, and it doesn't help that they change every 2 years.
Exactly.
But it's like having that ability. I was talking to Corey Nestor from Space Systems Command. And like we've built a relationship over a couple of years, and I can shoot them a text and be like, "Hey, we need this, dude. Like 48 hours," and they're like, "We're on it." Right, but that doesn't happen overnight. It comes from going to Space Symposium, getting FaceTime in, going to the bases, doing all the things that you've been doing.
That's the best part, actually. Is like now we're going to hit year 3 in June, and there's people that we met like when we first started this company with just like Neil and I and a few PowerPoint pages, who are now coming by the factory and being like, "Holy shit,
you guys did it!"
Right? And they're like, they're changing roles and they're moving in. Some moved away to less relevant roles. Some are now moving back to more relevant roles. So it's just fun on the over the long run to see the evolution.
So have you guys had a launch party?
We actually did. So
I know you're in space.
Yeah, so we had our first mission on Transporter 12, and it was fun. We had we bussed everyone up there to get as close as we could to the launch site, Vandenberg.
Okay.
So we were on the side of the road over there, the viewpoint, and watched the launch, and then we went to a winery nearby and
like a roadside launch party.
Yeah.
So you were out like there was no restaurant. You just
nothing.
The whole
we just
thing.
bussed out there. And
That's cool.
With Vandenberg, what's cool is you can drive pretty close, and then there's one point where they'll stop you and they'll be like, "Yeah, we can't go any further," but like you're really close there, right?
And then you hand the guard a 6-pack of beer and, "Hey, can we get a little closer?
give me like half a mile more." Right? I wish. I don't think we tried that. We should have probably tried that.
Yeah. What a great great facility. We're pulling in now, but yeah, dude, it's been super fun.
Thanks for doing this, man. This is awesome.
Thanks for hopping in the car with me. I think we're going to try and find something fun for Space Symposium too.
Love it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
This has been Full Burn. Thank you guys for watching.